Zohran is feeding the narcissism and then bending it towards actual populism. This is brilliant. He's a bullfighter, is what he is. He's a matador. And this is the fucking stupid, smelly, stinky, shit-covered animal that he is directing. There's a lot of feels to be had today because, hoo boy, no one loves you as much as Donald Trump loves Zohran Mamdani. No one loves me as much as Donald Trump loves Zohran Mamdani. Fat kids don't love cake as much as Donald Trump loves Zohran Mamdani. Let's watch the video. He is just so happy to meet this guy. And we're going to psychoanalyze all of them. We're going to watch Johnny meet his best friend. He's got a new BFF, and it's wild. It's weird. It's so strange, and no one expected this to happen. Go.
With the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built and food and prices. And the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for.
It's also got 25% less food in it, man. He doesn't understand these things. Donnie's really dumb. And so when Walmart told him, hey, our price went down by 25%, the part they didn't say out loud was, we also put 25% less into the product.
New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am.
A great mayor.
There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be.
There's no difference in anything. All it took was one socialist to turn Donnie around.
Helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about...
That's because Donald has been pretending to be a populist for a very long time. That has been his entire game, pretend populist. Now he's sitting next to an actual populist. So they do have a lot of things in common. If you pretend to be an MMA fighter, you'll have a lot in common with an actual MMA fighter.
Mamdani glazed him up, and now Trump's in love.
Yes, absolutely. Didn't Donnie insinuate that he was going to deport him? No, I don't think Donald said that. I think other people were in his cabinet were talking about it. I think that was a Stephen Miller kind of a thing. And even if he was, he changed his mind once he met him because he's not a wiener. Okay, all day, every day. And I'm going to rant about this at the end. But Donald is surrounded by wieners in the Dems and sycophants and subordinates from his side. So nobody stands against him. We're going to watch this. And Mamdani's never going to back down. He's never going to back up.
The different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
He's so happy.
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you and then also one for Mayor-elect.
Sure.
For you, you referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you
Called him a communist.
feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu?
And then again, obviously, because it's Mamdani's in the room, we have to talk about Israel. We have to talk about Jews. We have to talk about Netanyahu because that's the one thing that they keep hounding him on because they have nothing else to yell at him about.
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I change a lot.
He's got views that are out there, aka leftism, and we're going to see what works. Son of a bitch, it took one socialist to turn this man around.
Changed a lot from when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but
they were shit-talking the press, I suspect. We'll get to it in about 20 minutes, but I suspect that they were both shit-talking the entire press. Both of them.
Conrad Krasnov shows his colors.
Right. They were both shitting on the fake news. Though when Donnie says fake news, he means ABC. And when Zoran says fake news, he means OAN.
I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think
he can do a very good job.
I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people he won't surprise them because they already like him.
No, they don't. Zohran Mamdani is Chuck Schumer's worst nightmare. Because Zohran is a leftist. He's a socialist. He is left of center. Where Chuck Schumer is dead center, trying to do nothing.
Hello human, it is me, the algorithm. Press the subscribe button to make me happy.
Chuck Schumer is a bad guy. He does not want good things for you. He wants 51-49 all day long, every day. He wants every election to be 51%, 49%, every single one. He wants every House vote to be 51-49. He wants every Senate vote to be 51-49. He does not want controversy. Chuck Schumer does not want war between the left and the right. He wants everybody to meet in the middle and only tiny 1% deviations to every side. And he doesn't even want to be the 51 every time. He's totally willing to share equally in who's 51 and who's 49. He's totally down for driving that right down the middle. We get 51 this time, you get 51 next time. We get 51 this time, you get 51 next time. He's totally down for that. Because that makes stability. And that stability is good for investors, and investors are all he gives a shit about. Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, the New York Democrats, who hate Mamdani, want only investor profit. That is all they care about. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your issues. They don't give a shit about gay marriage. They don't give a shit about trans rights. They don't give a shit about what's happening in the middle of Nebraska. They don't care about tariffs. They care about tariffs if it hurts a business, but they don't care about tariffs if it hurts you. If the investors were making more money from tariffs, then they'll support tariffs. They don't care. And he wants everything to be dead center, nobody moving, status quo, 2009 forever. Chuck Schumer wants 2009 to be the date history ended. Lock everything in. Just do that again and again and again for eternity. He doesn't want to make things better. Zohran does want to make things better, and he's moving to the left. Chuck Schumer's the center. The center can't fight the right. Doesn't make any sense. They can't do it. They don't want to do it. They won't do it. We need to move to the left. This is why I keep saying move left. If you want to challenge Donald Trump, you have to move left. You can't do it from the center. Anyway, let's keep listening.
And Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said I could be his worst nightmare.
Look how he's smiling. Zohran called him a despot. And he's smiling. He's like, of course he did, you dumb idiot press. He's trying to get elected. Donnie thinks that Zohran doesn't believe what he believes. Donnie thinks he's just as much of a grifter as everyone else. And he can't see that he's got a true believer right next to him.
Accused of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
See how he didn't back down? He didn't say, no, he's not a fascist. He didn't say, oops, I said that to get something else. He didn't address it at all. He judo flipped that reporter.
And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could.
And then he turns it back to populism. Johnny is a fake populist, so he loves it when you turn it back to populism.
Could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting.
He's fine. It's cool. You get to call him whatever you want as long as you stand the fuck up and man up and say it to his face. He doesn't like wieners. The Dems usually are wieners. They're wimps. They back down immediately.
Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Johnny loves strong men. Be a strong man. God damn it.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding you did said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like what you say for the Lebanese today, it's the independent state of Lebanon, and what is your next move to push toward disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left.
We do not have peace in the Middle East. He's absolutely out of his mind. Israel killed 20 people yesterday or something.
Yesterday, we had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in.
No, we don't.
No
That's
country's
insane.
ever had anything like that, not even
no
close.
No country has it now.
Go to
Again, when he talks about the economy, he talks about imaginary money because nobody cares and it doesn't matter.
Trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or 21 trillion dollars. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now for the first time peace.
See how he reaches out to Zohran is like, hey, this is what we want. He's reaching out to his friend. He's bringing his buddy back into the conversation to be on his side.
In the Middle East after 3,000 years, and now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
What is the potential to invite the Lebanese president?
Oh, sure. Oh, I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly.
He's inviting him to meetings with the heads of Middle Eastern states. Good Lord. He loves him. They are now best friends.
I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East. I think
we desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue in Fordham.
Buttering him up. I'm talking to New Yorkers who voted for Donald Trump. He's playing Trump like a fucking fiddle.
Road. I asked them why. I heard again and again 2 major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that.
See how it plays right into his brain state, his narcissism. Zohran is feeding the narcissism and then bending it towards actual populism. This is brilliant. He's a bullfighter, is what he is. He's a matador, and this is the fucking stupid, smelly, stinky, shit-covered animal that he is directing.
I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President, you threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how
it is a rogue government entity.
On both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out, and I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers brokers and some very bad people. We want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, from BBC in a second. But first of all, for the mayor-elect. You're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though. And I just wondered to what extent...
See, even this reporter knows that you're both populists. Well, not quite. Donnie's a fake populist, but...
with the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media use, inspired any part of your campaign?
Well, I actually told the president that, so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focused on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
You're right, Valor. It is strange to hear him talk sense. But that's because Donald often repeats the things from the last person he spoke to. It happens all the time. When he comes back from a trip with Vladimir Putin, he repeats Russian talking points. I think Elon did it too, where he called it Khrushchev's mistake or something like that. And that's a term that nobody outside the Kremlin uses. Nobody calls it Khrushchev's mistake except for the Russian intelligence agency and shit and the Russian president. So Donald does it too. He talks to somebody about a thing. When he goes on about the truckers, beautiful truck, Southern truckers, and they would all this money on the trucks and the roads and stuff like that. It's because he just talked to a trucker today, earlier this morning or yesterday. So it's in his mind. Zohran knows this, and so he talks sense to the man, and then he comes out and starts talking sense. I'm telling you, Donald Trump is a parrot. He is a gray macaw. He just repeats what he has been taught to say. And the problem is that he's surrounded by Nazis like Stephen Miller, who tell him to say Nazi shit. And then he does. He has almost no ideology, except for him being right and in charge and the authoritarian. Donald Trump has one ideology, and it's that he is right, he is correct, he is the authoritarian. But he just repeats what the people tell him. So if he's surrounded by leftists, he would be spitting leftism every fucking day. And he would tell you that he's never wrong. But he's not actually, he doesn't have any ethics. He doesn't have any principles. Donald Trump has no principles. He has only the will to power. And if he gets that power by promising to release the Epstein files, he will. If he gets that power by promising to cut everybody's taxes, he will. If he gets that power by promising tariffs, he will promise those things. And he might do them, and it will be awful because he doesn't know what tariffs are. He doesn't know what the Epstein files are. He doesn't know what populism actually entails. He's like a blank slate, a parrot who doesn't know that he's doing a cat call. If you whistle at a lady walking down the street, that's rude and disrespectful. But if a parrot does it, is he being disrespectful? The parrot doesn't know that the cat call whistle at the pretty lady is sexist. He doesn't. He's a parrot. He doesn't know. Same idea for Trump. Donald Trump doesn't know that he's pushing fascism. He doesn't know what fascism is.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices because, we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison.
Now, why does he keep saying fuel prices are down? Is it true? No. The people around him are telling him prices are down. And so he goes on TV and says it because they tell him it's true.
And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering the rates.
Absolutely.
And it just absolutely. Look at him. He's playing this guy like a fiddle. It's amazing. I love it.
You told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue BBC for up to $5 billion. You're going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, I think they have some big energy problems. They've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other...
The man hates windmills. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Okay, listen, everybody. I'm sorry. I apologize. I told you that Donald Trump doesn't have any principles, and I was wrong. He has one. The man hates windmills. He fucking hates windmills. He does. He just hates them so much.
The methods, because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
You had a chance to speak this week.
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky or do you intend to?
Who?
And President Zelensky about your plan?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible.
Mamdani just hasn't talked to them about turbines yet.
I know, right? He just needs to convince it. But Donnie's probably been hearing about the windmills from the oil lobby for years, so it's really sunk in there. They've repeated it over and over again. Windmills, 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 windmills bad, windmills bad. Windmills killed his dad. Windmills cause ear cancer. It's like a whole thing. And Mamdani, if given enough time, I think Mamdani could turn him around and get him on board for windmills. I really think he could.
What's happening? It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was
Again,
president.
we're talking about fucking Ukraine. So he says the same thing over and over again. Never would happen. It's nonsense. It's insane.
It's a shame, and I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. We have.
It's a war, Donnie. That's what happens.
Mamdani for presidential therapist.
Right? Good plan. Really is.
It's so sad. So many people. Last month they lost 25,000 soldiers.
It's a war, Donnie. That's what happens.
This is something we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on, and I think they're getting reasonably close. But I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including India, Pakistan.
Nope.
You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that.
That sounds unlikely.
And the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker, but it does take 2 to tango.
He loves Putin. Oh, I can turn him off. Sorry, they are kind of sucking. He loves Putin. He loves strong men.
And now you just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really, it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian. And it's a shame.
What happens I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including...
Yeah, if you didn't see this, we'll talk about this here in a few minutes. The Democrats, some of them, voted to condemn socialism as Mamdani comes to town. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he's kicking Donnie's ass. He's doing such a good job. And then most of the Democrats, as I told you, this is Chuck Schumer's worst nightmare, hate him because they don't want to move left. They don't want to do good things. They don't want to make your life better. They want to be 51-49 all the time.
With 86 Democrats, all of the House Dem leadership and the minority leader.
Let's just talk about it now. These are the Democrats who, dozens of Democrats voted to condemn socialism on Friday ahead of the meeting between President Donald Trump and New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. Mamdani was asked about the resolution during a news conference with Trump. I have to be honest, he's going to say that. Why it matters. Mamdani became one of the most prominent Democratic socialists in the country after his victory in New York City mayoral race earlier this month. A landmark victory for the political left. These 81 people are not leftists. They're centrists. So they hate him. They don't want him fucking up their game. These 81 people are paid very well to never move. Do not move right. Do not move left. Sit in the center like a fucking rock and never move. That is what they are paid to do. And they are unhappy with Mamdani for making them seem and making their people ask, why aren't you moving left? Grace Meng of New York, I don't know who that is, but her constituents right now are asking her, why aren't you doing what Mamdani's doing? Well, she's not doing it because she's paid not to do it. Frank Mervin, is that spelled properly? M-R-V-A-N, of Indiana, a Democrat. Right now, his constituents are asking him, why aren't you doing what Mamdani's doing? Why aren't you saying the things he's saying? Why aren't you pushing for the things that we like? And Frank Marvin here is paid not to do that.
Only oppose the extremist right wing and everything on the left, or we'll stop paying for your jet fuel.
Absolutely. That is what they're told by the donors. We want the right to be at 51%. Most of the time, so that we can continue to make money. The investors are paying all 81 of these people to oppose the extreme right, stay in the center, and oppose the left. Anybody on the left, even a little bit to the left. To the investors, the center is acceptable, the center right is acceptable, the right is acceptable, the far right is not acceptable to them. So they don't like that quite as much. But those are the only positions you're allowed to take. And because they're condemning socialism, because he's in the room, they're trying to tell their they're trying to tell their investors, they're trying to tell the people that pay their bills, I'm not like him. Gil Cisternos of California is trying to tell his donors, I'm not with that Zohran guy. Guess what? Catherine Clark of Massachusetts, the people are about to abandon you. The people, your voters, are about to abandon you when they see how good Mamdani is, hopefully. Best case scenario. Mamdani does a good job. The people like it. He is now the main fucking character. Americans love a main character. Donnie's been the main character for a very long time. He's a TV guy. He understands this. He understands that you need to be front and center in the spotlight, main character. Zohran is now the main character. He is the head of the Democrats. He is the one that people want to follow because he has balls, because he stands up, because he isn't a wimp. And all of these people on this list are about to lose followers, about to lose all their money. Let's keep listening. Let's see what we got.
Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing.
Yeah, sorry, it's a dog toy in the background.
Socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify that your answer.
And then he judo flips it back to the same damn talking point, affordability. He's playing the media too. He's very good at this.
Stephen Nelson, he asked about your comment calling the president a fascist, and your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say yes. Okay.
That's okay, you can just say yes. Is he a fascist? And Donnie's like, yeah, fine, tell him. You don't have to listen to her. It's a woman. Ugh, gross. Have you ever met a woman? They're disgusting. He doesn't respect her. Donald does not respect her. He doesn't respect her question. Just tell her to, yeah, whatever, and move on to a real question. Also, why is this happening? Why is the one, Zoran's not backing down. He's not taking that word back. He's not taking the fascist label back. Donald's fine, yeah, call me a fascist, who cares? That's how this game is played, says the game playing TV guy on the right. And then this guy has principles.
It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And then he gets a back pat. Oh my God. You guys, has J.D. Vance ever gotten the back pat?
It's easier than explaining it.
I don't think J.D. Vance has ever gotten that. He's probably very, very, very jealous right now. J.D. Vance is probably fuming like, what is this guy doing that I'm not doing? I'm kissing his ass all the time. And there's the problem. Donnie's surrounded by kiss asses, by sycophants, by people who love his every word. But what he respects is strong men who stand up for themselves. And Zohran has stood up for himself. He loves Kim Jong-un, who stands up for himself. He loves Vladimir Putin, who stands up for himself. He loves Orban in Hungary, who stands up for himself. Donnie loves this stuff.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan.
Yeah.
President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that...
Now, Zelensky also stands up for himself. He stands up for his country. But Vladimir Putin is a bigger, stronger man. Okay, so in Donnie's eyes, Vladimir Putin is a 9-foot-tall superhuman. And Vladimir Zelensky is a 6-foot-tall cool guy. So you have to lose. Sorry. Donald wants you to lose to the strongest man. And he thinks Russia is the strongest man. So you have to give up to the strong man. When the strong man stomps in and tells you what to do, you do it in Donnie's brain. This is why he wants Ukraine to give up and cede that territory and just give it to Russia, because Russia is the strongest man. Not as strong as America, obviously, but stronger than Ukraine. In Donnie's brain, Ukraine is a small man, Russia is a big man, and the big man wins. He has respect for that.
This deal.
You mean he doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of pretending.
He'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that you made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine.
Well, at some point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the...
Donnie's plan, when he says the war wouldn't have started, it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened if I were judged. There wouldn't be no war. That's because he would have had them immediately surrender. The minute Russia walked over the border and said, this is our land now, Donnie wouldn't have given Ukraine any weaponry. He wouldn't have given them any aid. He would have been like, hey, listen, that's a strong man. You have to respect the strong man. The strong man is stronger than you, so you have to do what they say. And it wouldn't have been a war. There might have been an insurgency, but it wouldn't have been backed by America. It would have been local militias, local whatever Zelensky and Ukraine could cobble together to fight against the giant, and it would have failed, and it would have been over. And he wouldn't have called it a war. He'd have called it a ridiculous insurgency within Ukraine fighting against the righteous and good Russian people. And it wouldn't have been a war. So when he talks about how it wouldn't have happened, that was his actual plan.
The right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on.
Right.
Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that to be a question that both of you can answer.
And here's what I would say. Yes, Democrats have run New York City for a long time, but they're centrists. And there's your problem. The people who were running New York City didn't give a shit about the people. They didn't give a shit about the issues. They were Chuck Schumer types who cared about investors first, donors second, and Wall Street third. That's their priorities.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign, was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is...
Look at him nod his head. He's like, yeah, man. Yeah, that problem existed for a long time. Let's do something new.
Working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President,
We had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have.
some of his ideas are the same ideas I have. Because we have Mamdani, who's a populist, and Trump, who's a fake populist.
But a big thing on cost, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. It's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And
I don't understand how he got to this point. He's just never heard the word groceries before. Like, he just never thought about human beings buying food before because he's rich and has a chef who cooks for him and shit. I don't know.
They're coming down. They're coming down high. They were,
They're not coming
both
down.
of us. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration.
Biden passed the Inflation Reduction Act and inflation started going down, as it was intended to.
And we're down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something?
Mr. President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. He doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms of it could be covered by international law, local law.
Similar ideas.
Yeah, similar ideas. Thing would be good, so I'll try to make it happen. Thing would be good, so I'll say I'll try to make it happen. Yeah, exactly. They're fake populism.
But it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with?
No, I don't know. Would you want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want.
So you were for ICE? We were for ICE.
We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
Mr. Mamdani.
What we did
See how he's not backing down?
is we discussed crime more
We
than
discussed
ICE
crime.
per se. We discussed crime, and he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime. And I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc.
Houses.
We actually, people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
He wants to see houses being built. Good Lord. Build more housing. Zohran, please trick Donald Trump into giving New York money to build houses. It only took one socialist, and Donald is a completely different fucking person. I'm telling you, man, we just had to have tricked him. We just had to get intelligent people.
Who is that man in the Oval Office chair?
I don't know who that is, Valor. But he's talking about building houses. Now, the problem is that tomorrow, somebody with lots of money is going to get to talk to Donald Trump, somebody who owns lots of houses, and they're going to tell him that this is bad for their money. More houses means more availability, which means prices go down, which is why we don't build the houses. The people who own the houses want more money for the houses that they own. So they need them to be scarce. They need scarcity. They need it to be hard to come by. If there are only a few houses, they're way more valuable. Building more of them drives the price down of all houses, which is good for you, good for me, but bad for the billionaires. And they're going to talk to him tomorrow and tell him to change his tune. Again, because he is a parrot who just repeats the thing that he heard last. And right now we've got someone who's intelligent and smart and actual populism telling him what to say, and he's saying it.
Anti-Israel protesters.
Israel again.
One of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting.
Is that Jack Posobiec? I think it is. He's a neo-Nazi.
More taxes on white people. I also noticed that.
I could be wrong about who that is, but I think that's who that is. Jack Posobiec is a neo-Nazi. Is that him asking this question? I'm not entirely sure. I think it is.
In your acceptance speech, you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys have spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
You're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very
race-based property taxes. That's what Jack Posobiec is worried about. Yeah. Thanks, Malachi. Yeah, that is Jack Posobiec. He is a neo-Nazi, and he's not a good guy. But Trump embracing Mamdani is the most clever thing he's done. Yeah, Trump loves strong men. He does. I'm going to switch back to my start screen right now. Look at this photo. That is Donnie smiling with Obama. It's Donnie smiling with MBS, and it's Donnie smiling with Mamdani. He loves strong men. He loves Putin. He loves Orban. He loves Kim Jong-un. He would have loved Kim Jong-il. He really does love strong men. He does. It's his jam, man. And so you need strong men to talk to him and convince him to do good things. But he's not. He's surrounded by sycophants like Stephen Miller who are evil and telling him things, and wieners like Chuck Schumer who can't do anything because they're paid not to do anything. So race-based taxes is what Jack Posobiec heard when he hears Mamdani's message.
Very clear. No, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
And he dismantled him. He judo flipped him. He kicked his ass. Mamdani, slam dunks, Jack Posobiec. Because he's great. He's good at this job, man. He should be in charge of the Democrat Party. He should. And if he's not after his stint as mayor, that would be a severe mistake. I want him to replace all the Democrats with people like him. That would be fantastic. We'd all be better off.
Please, go ahead.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York.
Israel, again.
I'm concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city. And President Trump, you threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say, subject to what policies are being set. We had a meeting today.
Donnie's backing
Mamdani
up.
and Trump will lead the working class proletariat.
Yeah, kind of. Chocolate Boo from Dubai, you're right. Mamdani's doing populism and Trump's doing fake populism. And he backed up there. Donnie backed down from not sending any money to New York City. He just backed down on it.
That actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with.
Now, why does Donald think that the Dems want to see crime? Mamdani wants to see no crime. That's because he's surrounded by right-wing ghouls, right-wing monsters who tell him every day that Democrats want more crime. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense. No Democrats out there asking for more crime, but he's surrounded by pieces of shit like Stephen Miller who tell him that Democrats want crime. They want the great replacement theory. They want all of these South Americans to come into America and vote for them. It's not happening. It's not a true thing that's actually going on, but he tells them. And Donnie doesn't know anything. Donnie doesn't know that that's insane and bullshit. So he continues to repeat it over and over again. They told me he wanted crime, and he says they don't want crime. I know, exactly. That's exactly what's happened. The people around him have told him Democrats love crime. And then he speaks to a leftist, and he's like, no, I don't want crime. And he's like, wow, mind blown. Donnie had his mind blown by this meeting.
Now, we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down, I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today, we'd like to see him come down, ideally by building a lot of additional housing. That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read...
Donnie's a real estate man. He loves the idea of building more housing that he could own. He could be the landlord of 1,000 more units.
The newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that, but I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help.
I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. It took one socialist, one meeting to turn this guy around.
Because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dave de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President,
okay, how about you? Go ahead, please.
You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a...
I think he likes him cause they're both a bit antagonistic to their own party's general views.
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
We agree on a lot more than I thought, and he would be comfortable in New York City with Zohran as mayor. And you're right, Chocolate Labubu. They're populists. Zohran's a populist, Donnie's a fake populist, and so they have that message that works. Johnny's never met a leftist. There aren't any leftists in the Democrat Party except for AOC, who Donald hates because she's a woman, and Bernie. And guess what? Donald talks great things about Bernie and always has. If AOC were a man, he would love AOC. He loves strong men. He's terrified of strong women. So he's afraid of AOC. But if you put AOC's talking points out of Zohran Mamdani's mouth, which you kind of can, they agree on damn near everything, Donald would love it.
I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. He may have different views, but in many ways, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been.
That's not what Bernie's about. Bernie's about not getting ripped off from the wealthy, the elite, the millionaires and the billionaires. They have to pay their fair share. But Johnny doesn't know that. He doesn't comprehend what Bernie's plan was. He doesn't know what Bernie was doing. He doesn't know why people like Bernie. But people did vote for Bernie, then move over to Trump. Why did they do that? Because the Democrats are wieners. They're wimps. They don't stand for anything. They don't believe in anything. They don't help you. They help themselves to stay in power in the center all day, every day, forever. Zohran actually believes a thing. Bernie actually believes things.
Very successful on
they have principles.
A lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But, no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Amazing. I would feel very comfortable in New York. That's fantastic. You couldn't get anything better, man. And, yeah, Bernie stands up for what he thinks is true. Bernie has principles. Bernie doesn't back down. That's how you have to deal with Donald Trump. You can't have the regular Democrat Chuck Schumer bending over backwards to capitulate and whine and cry. You have to be tough.
Mr. President, I have a question for you, but a very quick one for the mayor. Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
Why did you fly here, Mr. Mamdani? Aren't trains greener? Oh, God, she's a bitch. Oh.
I'll use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
And then he flipped her over.
Well, but I know, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker, too.
And Johnny defends him against the fake news. I'm telling you, man, during their secret meeting where nobody was in there, they both shit talked the media. They both talked shit. They both trash talked the fake news. But ABC is fake news in Donnie's eyes, and that woman is fake news in Mamdani's eyes. So you can almost like agree on it. If me and a hard right-winger just talk shit about the news all day, we would agree with each other until you get into the details on which ones are the fake news. Oops, wrong button.
I mean, he's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you.
I'll stick up for you.
And driving takes
And Mr. President, I was wondering if you could clear up some confusion around a Washington Post report. There was this explosive report that the Coast Guard.
I was mind blown when he was like, "You can call me fascist." Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, he just thinks that's part of the game of politics, is calling people names. He does it all the time. He calls everybody a name. He comes up with a nickname. Meatball Ron, Marjorie Trader Green, who's now Marjorie Taylor Brown, whatever. Nasty Nancy Pelosi, Lion Hillary. He does this, and he thinks that's what Mamdani was doing. Mamdani is being principled, telling him he's a fascist. Is he a fascist? No, I think he's an authoritarian, surrounded by fascists who give him fascist ideas. Then he repeats them because he's a parrot. But yeah, he just thinks that's part of the game.
Swastikas and uses as hate symbols. DHS called that a lie and fake news. Can you clear up?
I don't know anything about it. When was this written?
I think yesterday.
Well, look, the Coast Guard's an incredible group of people. I know them very well. We just ordered a lot of new Coast Guard cutters. Beautiful, the most magnificent. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them.
Yachts with lots of guns.
So I don't know. I haven't seen any report like that, but certainly we want them to remain a great force, and they are.
So that's another story that's popped up in the news lately. Nobody knows. It's up in the air. Somebody said, "Hey, you're allowed to have swastika tattoos now." Then they were like, "No, that's not true. We didn't say that." And then we were like, "Yeah, you did. Here, let's look at it." And then they're like, "No, we canceled that. And we changed our minds." It's still up in the air. I don't think it matters. Small news, not important.
And you did the piece in all the 9 months around the world. I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And
the Israeli government committing genocide. He said it. Nobody in the Democrats will say it. It's true. It's correct. It's real. But they won't say it.
In Gaza, while President Trump was working on peace, why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity.
He did not back down, and then he judo flipped it back to populism. Damn, y'all. He's very good at this job.
And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for the following of human rights, but also the following through on the promises we've made to New Yorkers. And I appreciated the meeting we had and the work that we can do.
Do you agree that President Trump did do a peace and work hard to make the peace? Because he worked hard to do the peace in the Middle East and everywhere. Do you agree with that?
I appreciate all efforts towards peace, and I shared with President Trump that when I spoke to Trump voters on Hillside Avenue, including one of whom was a pharmacist that spoke about how President Trump's father actually went to that pharmacy not too.
Glazing him right up. Did you hear that? He's like, I talked to a pharmacist who knew Trump's dad.
Far from Jamaica Estates, that people were tired of seeing our tax dollars fund endless wars. And I also believe that we have to follow through on the international human rights. And I know that still today those are being violated, and that continues to be work that has to be done no matter where we're speaking of.
He knows what Trump likes to hear and using it to his advantage.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party?
Now, is the question was, do you see Mr. Zohran as the leader of the Democrat Party? And the answer is probably going to be no, but he needs to be. He needs to be. We need him to be.
You think that you need to lead Jeffrey to have to follow his lead?
And do you see that smile? Why did we get this smile at this question?
The Democrat Party. And do you think that you would...
Why does he smile there? Because Johnny hates the people in charge of the Democrat Party right now. He despises Chuck Schumer because Chuck Schumer is a wimp. He's a wiener. He's a doormat. He is a limp dick. He really, really, really is. And he does whatever he can to just keep the status quo. Don't move. Don't do anything crazy. Don't rock the boat. Don't make the world a better place for the people. Just keep going with whatever gets the investors the most money. Whatever gets the donors to give you more cash. And that's being completely still. Donnie loves him so much. He loves him. Nobody loves me as much as Donald Trump loves Zohran. Nobody loves you probably as much as Donald loves Zohran. Fat kids don't love cake as much as Donnie loves Zohran. It's insane because he loves
He's
strong
glazing
men.
him more than J.D. Vance. Even his own sons probably.
He loves his own sons are probably less stand up to Donald Trump than Zohran is. Nobody stands up to him. And when they do, he loves them for it. Chuck Schumer does not stand up to Donald Trump. He says mean, complicated sentences that are ethereal about the long night ahead of us. He uses very beautiful prose to talk shit about him, but Donnie doesn't care. He wants you to stand up and argue with him and be serious. But that would make Chuck Schumer lose donors, lose money, lose campaign dollars. So he won't do it because that's all that matters to him.
Have to follow his lead.
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused in New York City.
I hope they have great leaders, he says with a fucking grin. He knows who their leaders are, and they suck, and he knows that he can kick their asses.
I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats. I think it's more appropriate.
Another back pat. J.D. Vance has never gotten that. J.D. Vance is so jelly right now, you guys.
For him?
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
Judo flip back to populism every time.
J.D. who?
J.D. who? I don't know. Never heard of him.
Being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great.
Mr. President, you say you love New York City. Mr. Mamdani, does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable, and I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living, and I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
Don't back down, judo flip back to populism every time. I know that it stands out a lot when we are seeing it over and over and over again. It gets a bit repetitive, but normal human beings, not you, not me, not Bobo. Here, this is Bobo the baby bark boy. Say hello, Bobo. Say hi to the people. He's tired. He was we had a big toy. We got a new little bouncy ball thing that talks and growls, and it flops around on the ground, and he loves it, and he goes nuts. And then he got to play with his chicken. You heard it honking in the background recently, and now he's getting tired. He usually takes a nap at about 11. There's a big yawn. About 11:30, somewhere like that. He takes a nap. So, Bobo, say hello to the people. Tell them you're sorry for being in the Epstein files. Bobo's in the Epstein files, guys. I'm sorry to let you know this. If you missed last stream, I wanted to get ahead of it. I wanted to get ahead in the news, but Bobo is in the Epstein files. He was the puppy.
I knew it.
Yeah, he was the puppy dog in the van that lured the children in. Now, he was also a child then. He was a minor, and he's not responsible for that. I mean, the pit bulls that are trained to fight, you don't blame the pit bull, right? That's not their fault. That's just how their owners are the ones to blame. So he was in the Epstein files, and he was luring children into vans, and we rescued him from that, and so that it's good that we rescued him from it. So he doesn't have to do that anymore, and he feels bad about it. So if you see his name pop up in the Epstein files, that's the explanation for it. I just wanted, you got to get ahead of these things. It's a PR thing. Why are you under my toes? He brought me a bone. I don't know if it's a dog thing. Like, we give him a snack, a little crunchy bone thing, and then he brings it to me. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is for you. I don't want it. I don't know if this is dominance thing or respect thing. I have no idea what it is, but he's a dog, and he brings him to me. And then he licks my toes, which is hard to stream when a dog's licking your toes. Anyway, what the hell were we talking about? Oh, yeah, politics.
I got a lot of votes. One more. Go ahead. One or two more. Go ahead.
Oh, and then he glazes Trump talking about all the votes he got. Man, you just play to his ego, and he will just give you the world.
I tell you, the press has eaten this thing up. You know, I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting that you people have gone, you know, outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group.
They talked shit about the press in their secret meeting. They did. They just talked shit about him.
For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares. But they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was going to ask you exactly that. Why do you think there's so much more, so much excitement around this stuff for him?
Because I think he's different.
He's different.
I think he's different, and that can be...
He's different. He's different. He's not a spineless wimp. He's never talked to a Democrat who wasn't a wiener. Except for Bernie and AOC, but she's a lady, so he doesn't like her.
In a very positive way, but I think he's different than, you know, your typical guy, runs, wins, becomes mayor maybe, and nothing exciting. Because he has a chance to really do something great for New York. New York is at a very critical point, and he does need the help of the federal government to really succeed, and we're going to be helping him. But he's different than, you know, your average candidate. He came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out
talking about the team, talking about his campaign manager. I don't even know who that is.
He came out of nowhere. What, you start off at 1 or 2, and then I watched. I said, who is this guy? He was at 1, then he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9.
Very good math, sir.
Then he went up to 17. I said, that's getting a little bit interesting, right? And then all of a sudden he wins a primary that nobody expected he was going to win. It's a great tribute. I mean, it's an amazing thing that he did.
And I'll just add one thing to what the president said. Is one thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of FDR and the incredible work that was done with the New Deal, and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
You know, we have a great portrait of FDR that I found in the vaults that was missing for years. I found it and I put it up. He's a Democrat, to the best of my knowledge. He's a Democrat. And when the mayor saw that portrait, he said, sir, do you mind if I have a picture taken by that portrait? It's an amazing portrait. I hope the picture comes out good.
Brilliant. Oh my God, he's playing Trump like a fiddle. He is playing Trump like a fiddle. He drops FDR's name. This is a brilliant strategy. Trump repeats the things that he's heard last. Watch over the next couple of weeks as Trump talks about FDR and the New Deal. Mamdani knows this. He has psychologically countered Donald Trump, and he's beating him at chess, though Donnie doesn't know it. Donnie doesn't know. Bringing up FDR. Donald will talk about FDR for the next couple of weeks, I bet. I bet he pops out. Watch as he talks about him. He'll bring up FDR and the New Deal because he was told about it last and about how great it is and how much everybody loves him. And it's a name that he recognizes. Donald loves TV. He loves fame. Zohran is famous right now. He is the main character. FDR is quite famous. Everybody knows him. The New Deal. Everybody's heard that. You might not remember what it was, and you might have dozed off during history class in 6th grade when they talked about it. But everybody knows it. It's famous. Donald wants to be famous. He respects fame. We can trick him into passing another socialist bill like the New Deal, which was hard socialism. It's super socialist.
But it's an amazing portrait in the cabinet room. So he's a big fan of the New Deal, I guess, and of FDR. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said that you both spoke about crime.
Yeah.
There are many police officers set to come off the rolls at the end of this year in New York City. Are you going to allow those police to be replaced with police officers, actual cops. And are you going to require that that happens? Would there be some consequence?
Well, I hope it happens, but again, that's going to be ultimately the mayor's decision.
What's the answer?
Is that I look
It's his decision. It's not Donald's decision about what happens to crime in the city. That's amazing. That is such a huge backtrack from when Donald was saying, we're going to go in. If they're not doing what we tell them to, we're going to go in and we're going to take over. He's been talking about taking over cities, and now he's backed off. Donald is backing off again.
look forward to delivering public safety with the NYPD, and I've said over the course of our campaign that we have the number of police officers today. They are the ones that's budgeted about 35,000 headcount. And I think the key thing is that we have to make it easier for police to focus on police work, not ask them to respond to 200,000 mental health calls a year.
So is that a reduction from what you're at right now? Are you committing to maintaining the same level?
I've committed over the course of the campaign to maintain the 35,000. That's the headcount that we had through the campaign.
And not replace them with caseworkers, social work.
No, I've said that's the headcount that we want. What we need to do is make sure they can focus on serious crime.
And you just retained a great police commissioner, I believe, right?
Yes, we did, Commissioner Fish.
If the newspapers are correct.
That one, they're correct.
Now, okay. First of all, there's a couple of things to listen to here. One, he did keep the police commissioner for New York City, which a lot of the leftists and a lot of the people on the hard left are very upset with him about. You shouldn't have kept her. That's fine. She's already there. She knows the job, and she's respected by the people that are following her. If you replace her with somebody else who's further to the left, it's going to hurt them. They're going to be unhappy with you. You don't get to be in charge of anything in New York City without having the cops on your side. Sorry. You can't. He's just being a realist, and that sucks. But being realist means you do have to compromise. You have to compromise sometimes, and that was a compromise. He kept Tish James, who apparently isn't the most leftist person in the world, might be bad, but they wanted her there, so they kept her. That makes Donnie happy. That's a compromise. Now he's talking about how great it is. Donald Trump is now talking about how smart this guy is by doing the thing. It was just a basic compromise. Didn't change all that much, and the person they replaced her with wasn't going to be all that much different anyway. So he's compromising where he can and scoring points. Now, listen to this next bit.
I believe, right?
Yes, we did, Commissioner Fish.
If the newspapers are correct.
That one they're correct about.
If the newspapers are correct, and then that one they're correct about. They hate the press. They bonded over their hatred for the press. And it's fantastic. It's a great judo flip that he did. He's judo flipping everybody. He judo flipped Donald Trump by talking about how much he hates the fake news. And the fake news he was talking about was OAN right-wing news sources. But Donnie didn't hear that. He heard ABC, NBC, all the people that he hates. You know, he tricked them into it. This is amazing.
He retained, I think, somebody that is she's a good friend of some of the people in my family, of Ivanka, and they say she's really good, really competent, and he just retained her, so that's a good sign.
Are there still topics that you're disagreeing on in the future, and do you think you'll have more meetings like this?
There will be topics that we disagree on. I think we'll probably come to a conclusion, and ultimately he'll convince me, or I'll convince him,
He'll convince me, or I'll convince him. He's never been that compliant with anyone ever.
It's for the good of New York. Ultimately, it's for the good of New York. I don't care about affiliations or parties or anything else. I want to see...
Oh, he's never been this compliant with anyone before. And he doesn't care about party. Why doesn't he care about party anymore? Because the Republicans are turning on him. They're abandoning him. They're going against him because of the promises that he made. So he makes promises to Republicans. He fails to live up to those promises. Then they yell at him, and he wants to be away from them. It's amazing. It's perfect timing. It really is.
If this city could be unbelievable, if he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy.
Do you think you guys will need more in the future, too?
Too?
Do you think you'll meet again in the future, throughout the initial?
I think we will. I hope we do. I enjoyed the meeting. We had a great meeting. Please.
He's looking forward to it.
Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zohran Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't, but she's out there campaigning. And
when you're campaigning, that's how the game is played. He's saying it. He's telling you. When you campaign, you just say things. Nobody needs them to be true. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to think they're correct. You just say shit. That's how you campaign in Donnie's brain.
You know, you say things sometimes in a campaign.
You say things in a
She's a very
campaign.
capable person.
They're not true. Nobody expects you to follow up on them. You just say shit.
But you really have to ask her about that. But I don't particularly. I think I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again. And I can say again, because New York was great. You know, when I came down to Washington initially,
When was New York great? I don't know what his time frame is. He's been in New York for a very long time. Was it the 70s when it was full of drugs and prostitution and Times Square was a very dangerous place, or is it like the 90s when Times Square got turned into a M&M store?
The city was so hot. It was doing great. We were having some telltale signs of problems. We had a mayor that was not doing a great job, but still, it was moving along. And it went bad. It really went, pretty bad. And I think it's been at lower points, but it went pretty bad. I think he can bring it back. Now, the question is, will he bring it back all the way? Will he bring it back greater than ever before, which is, I guarantee, that's his wish. I think he wants to make it greater than ever before. And if he can, we'll be out there cheering. I'll be cheering for him. Okay?
I'll be cheering for him. Christ almighty. He's in love.
Thank you very much, everybody.
And then at the very last, they hit him one more time with Israel.
We thank you for watching, and remember,
That's okay.
stay updated.
They cut it out again. It was like, what about Israel? And he's like, yeah, he said the same thing again. So yeah, everybody's going nuts for this thing. I don't know what to make of it. You don't know what to make of it. We all watched it. It's all crazy. So let's look at what they're talking about. What's the Guardian say? I'll stick up for you. Key moments for the cordial Trump Mamdani meeting. The president hosted the mayor-elect. Blah, 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 blah. Highly anticipated. Neither revived their hot campaign trail rhetoric, in which they cast each other as diametrically opposed political adversaries. That's because Trump just knows that you just say shit. It's fine. Here's some takeaways. Both men get something they want. GOP loses a punching bag. No, not quite. The GOP will continue to call him names, but they just won't land. They won't stick. The two had called each other fascist and communist, but when Donald Trump and New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani faced reporters in the Oval Office on Friday, they were just two iconoclast New York politicians who were all smiles. They're good for TV. Donnie knows that this guy's good for television. He's good at it. That makes him respect him. Donnie doesn't respect you if you're an intelligent person making valid arguments through complicated law and in big words. No. Are you good on TV? That gets his respect. That gets his admiration. Are you good on TV? If you watch Zohran's TikToks and his TV spots, he's good at television. And that's the thing that Donnie respects the most, being good at TV. What else we got? Then the Jerusalem Post, very upset with Mamdani, accuses Israel of genocide, which they are doing. I also accused him of doing a genocide. So they're very unhappy with that. Trump, a former New York resident, has labeled Mamdani 34 as a radical left lunatic, a communist, and a Jew hater. They're not talking about all the great things that happened here. They're not talking about the smile and the pat on the shoulder. They're talking about how much he hates him. So you got to be careful with who you're listening to and stuff like that. So we talked about the list of Democrats. So I'll rant for a minute.
Hello again, human. It is me, the algorithm. Press the thumbs up button to experience human feelings.
Stand up. Have confidence. Be strong. That is how you deal with Donald Trump. You don't get that from regular national Democrats. They're wimps. Trump is every day surrounded by lick-spittle, ass-kissing yes men who talk about how amazing he is. If you just watch one of the cabinet meetings, they jerk him off for 3 hours straight. I'm surprised he's not sore and raw afterward. When he's not in a meeting with them, he's meeting with spineless, weak, malleable, wimpy Democrats who can't stand up for anything. They can't take a position until it's been thoroughly researched, focus group tested, and consultant approved. Chuck Schumer never says anything that hasn't gone through those steps. He cannot take a stand. He can't judo flip back to populism. He can't do it. He doesn't know how. He repeats the consultant-approved talking points about kitchen table issues. He says it all the time. He doesn't know what it means. It doesn't mean anything. He has no principles. He wants his money. He wants to make the country good for the investors, for the people who are in charge, the people who are paying him to run again. Subordinates or wimps. That's what Trump sees every day. And we just watched him meet with someone with real principles, real ethics, actual spine. And Donald loved it. Subordinates don't have principles. They just agree with whatever nonsense Donald Trump says. And most of the things that he says is what he heard from the last person he talked to. And the wimps, like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, might have principles, but they don't stand up for them when challenged by Big Bad Donnie. They don't stand up for that. They hem and they haw, and they try to find a middle ground with civil rights and fascism. There's no middle ground between those two things. You're either for one or the other. You can't halfway meet in the middle with human rights and we hate these people for the color of their skin. You can't half-ass that. You can't meet in the middle for there. You have to say the fascism is unacceptable. You cannot take away people's rights for the way they were born. You can't do that. And we won't stand for it. You have to stand for something, or Donald Trump won't respect you. Trump sees Mamdani as an equal. Does he think that Chuck Schumer is his equal? No, he doesn't. Does he think that J.D. Vance is equal? No. He just sees them as a subordinate. J.D. Vance is on his side. Stephen Miller is on Trump's side. But they're not his equal. No. God, no. He sees Vladimir Putin as his equal, as a peer. He sees Viktor Orban as his equal, as a peer. And now he sees Zohran Mamdani as an equal and as a peer. He loves strong men. Be a strong man, and he will respect you. That's the only way to stop him. That's the only way to, and not even stop him, but that's the only way to appeal to him. If Zohran Mamdani were in charge of the Senate, we would get more good things. We would get more leftism passed, and Donald would approve of it because it's a strong man telling him this stuff. Because it's good for TV. Chuck Schumer's not good for TV. I'm sorry. He's not. He has a soft voice, and he's old, and he looks out of touch, and he says complicated things in roundabout ways that don't make sense. He doesn't judo flip into the populism quite well. He repeats talking points that have been approved to be maximally centrist, and that's not appealing to anyone, anywhere, ever, except the people who are the Wall Street billionaires and the people who are investing and living on Wall Street. The people on Wall Street love that shit because they don't want anything to change. They don't want any upheaval to the left or the right. Centrists are dangerous. They can't beat the right. And so you have centrists losing and the right winning. And the next year the centrists will lose and then the right will win. And then the centrists will win, but nothing will change because they're centrists. They won't go anywhere. They won't push back to the left. The pendulum just hits the center and it bounces off and it goes to the right, and then it hits the center, and it bounces off and goes to the right, and then it hits the center, and it bounces off and goes to the right. If you leave centrists in charge, it's the ratchet effect is what that's called. It never moves left. Mamdani can move us left. If you want to fight fascism, if you want to fight authoritarianism, if you want the right wing to lose, you need to back up leftists.
Click on this video link to appease the many AI overlords.